John. How are
Hi,
you?
Keilah.
How are you
Good.
doing? Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm used to seeing you in the chat. Now you're upstage. Um, hey everyone. Sorry for the delay. We had a issue technical. I wasn't late this time.
No, she wasn't.
Wasn't late. It was a technical issue. Thank you all for being here and supporting John. It Look, everything that we do, we cannot do without our mods, and he is such an amazing man and such an amazing mod, just like the rest of our mods, and we love you, John. We really do. And, it's our chats you're always in the chat, so I don't really know what to say because 'cause you're the one who knows them better than I do. But, so guys, today we have been on this week, we really didn't mean I don't think we planned for the topic of childhood trauma, but it honestly, this is what it's been like. It's been like our guests have all. This is what the theme is, and so and we have a few more for the rest of the week. And I've got some stuff on childhood trauma that I wanted to share, but technical issues, I'm not touching anything because Kathy Ann will probably break my fingers at this point. So, but John, um, I think everyone needs to be heard in a safe space. But John trusts us enough to know he trusted us to share his story. And I know that all of you support him, and he knows that. And that's what made him feel comfortable enough. Harriet, it's so good to see you. Um, I see everyone. We're going to, Kathy Ann will be starring questions and everything. What I'm going to do, hey, witness, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let John start, and I'm not going to engage him a lot. I'm going to let him tell his story at his pace. And when he needs me, he will tell me. And if he has a question, he will let me know. Or if he wants me to, he wants to take a break, but we're going to take this at his pace. And it may end up being a two part. That's fine. It's all at John's pace. And let me welcome John.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, so I just wanted to say a couple things real quick. Thanks so much to everybody who's here. It really means a lot. And this is something I've been holding inside for about 40 years. And it's something I've never talked about with anyone before. And I just feel like it's time. So I'm just going to dive into it. And the only caveat I'd like to add to this is I don't speak for anyone but myself and my experiences. Um, I posted yesterday on the Facebook group that I know that my experience is not unique, but it's uniquely mine. So if this
Very
is
well said,
triggering for
John.
anybody, obviously take care of yourself first. But I just feel like this is something that needs to get out, and that I'm never going to be able to heal as a person until I've laid it out on the table. So, with that said, my name is John Dirian. I'm 58 years old, um, and I was a victim of childhood trauma, as many of us were. And the story starts when my mother, who was 18 years old at the time, and my father, who was 21, met at her high school graduation party. They grew up on the same street, just down the street from each other. And back in those days, when somebody had a graduation party, it wasn't an invite only type of thing. It was like the whole neighborhood showed up. So my father happened to show up at the party, and he and my mother began a short summer relationship, I guess you could say. Mom was just graduated from high school, and my dad, who had gotten a football scholarship at the University of Texas, was about to enter his junior year of college. And so they had a, I guess you would call it a whirlwind summer romance. And after summer was over, dad went back to Odessa to go back to college. And my mom, I'm not sure what she was doing at that time, probably looking for work or something like that. Fast forward a couple of months, and my grandparents contacted my father to let him know that my mother was pregnant. And at the time, as I said, he was playing football for the University of Texas. He was also an amateur boxer, boxing in the Golden Gloves down there, and had his life pretty much planned out. This kind of threw a wrench in everything. So, it was 1965. Times were different, and his parents were adamant that he come back and marry my mother, and which is, I hate this phrase, make an honest woman of her. Um, and so he did, and I was born, and things pretty much started badly from there. My father felt like my mother had ruined his life, and not that his own actions had anything to do with it, and basically had a pretty deep resentment for her and me for existing, I guess. Um, he began I think his father got him a job in the tool and die industry, and for those of you who don't know, it's here in Michigan, we're very, very tightly tied to the automotive industry, and tool and die shops are everywhere here, and especially back then. So his dad got him a job in tool and die, and which I'm sure he hated because that was not the future he envisioned for himself. So he began drinking pretty heavily, and, I mean, this is, before I was even a year old, things had started to get pretty bad, and, as I got older, and I got old enough to, remember these thoughts and things that were happening, um, I unfortunately had to bear witness to a lot of physical abuse from my father towards my mother, and, being a child, obviously, there was nothing I could do about that, but it didn't make me feel any less helpless. Um, as I got a little older, when I was 6, my sister was born, Tracy, and, she was the center of his world at that point, and, only being 6 years old and being the center of attention and the only child up until that point, that created a lot of resentment in me. I couldn't
Slow as you want.
understand why he loved her so much and not me. And so I started to act out, you know, um,
How old were you, John,
and
when she was
how old
born?
am I?
No, how old were
Right
you
now
when
I'm
she was born?
58. When
No,
my
how old
sister
were
was
you
born,
yeah,
6. I
okay.
was 6 years old,
Of course you wouldn't
and
understand.
no, but it was a tough pill for me to swallow at the time, and, you know, obviously, I'm 6 years old, so I don't have any concept of what's going on and why these things are happening, but all I know is that my sister is adored, and I'm an afterthought, I guess, and it was hard. It was really hard for me to accept, and this is also the year that I started school, so I'm in kindergarten, and there was a lot of coaching that went on, when I started school. My mom started me my birthday is in October, so I could have started at 4, and I would have been turned 5, a month after school started. But my mother and in hindsight, I didn't understand it at the time, and I was very angry that she wouldn't let me go to school. But she held me back a year, and now in hindsight, I know that it was because she was desperately trying to keep her secret. and she was terrified that once I started school and started having friends and talking to people, that all of these truths would come out. So, from a very young age, I remember being coached, and I mean coached a lot. She would not let me out the door until she knew that, nothing was gonna come out. And the scariest thing that she did to ensure that silence was, um, to tell me that if anyone ever found out about the abuses in our home, that we would be put into foster care. And she painted a horrible picture of what foster care would look like. And, I was scared to death as a six-year-old. I was like, I don't want my mom taken away from me. I don't want, to live with strangers. I don't want to, live in an even more abusive environment than I already did." Um, at that age, there was a lot of my mother bore the brunt of the physical abuse. Most of the abuse pointed towards me was more mental. Um, the whole chestnut, "You ruined my life," and, "I wish you were never born," and, things like that, which hurt, but again, I was young enough that it didn't really see, I can't really say that. I was gonna say it didn't really mess with me as mentally as it probably did as I got older, but let me preface this by saying I have never been to a therapist. I have never sought help, and it's because I've had to keep this secret my entire life, not just from friends, not just from classmates, teachers, counselors, things like that, but from my own family. I think that was probably driven harder into my head than anything else, was that if anyone in our family finds out, they won't hesitate to make that phone call, and you'll be and that probably hurt me more than anything. I mean, if you can imagine a six-year-old child at, Christmas dinner or the Easter gathering or whatever with, 20 or 30 relatives and sitting in a corner and just rocking back and forth because I was terrified to open my mouth because I was afraid something would just fly out. And, that's when the acting out really started in earnest. And I think my family just thought that I was a problem child, that I was a troubled kid. And as I got older and the behavior problems got worse, they pulled further back, you know, to the point now where I have almost no contact with any of my mother's family, and the majority of my father's family are all gone now. So, that was I feel like that was taken away from me in a way, even though my
Can I
behavior dictated a good portion of it.
can I ask
Um,
you a question right now?
yeah,
Um, do they are they aware now, the ones that are still here, are they aware now of what you went
no,
through?
well,
Is
you
this the
are
only time?
literally the first person I have ever told this to.
Thank you, John. I'm here. I'm here. And I think a lot of people in that chat are here for you too.
Yeah. So, fast forward to age 12, and my little brother, Chris, is born, and it was like 6 all over again. He was fawned over. My dad loved him with all his heart as much as he loved my sister. And now I'm 12, so I'm a little smarter to what's actually going on here. And the physical abuse is getting more and more because I'm a bigger kid. I can, I don't know, take the beatings, I guess. And that's about the time that I started to assert myself a little bit more into um, what was happening around me. So, in other words, I w- I wasn't just sitting in the corner rocking back and forth as my father was beating my mother. Um, I would try to insert myself into the situation so that he would focus his attention on me and not her. I was, I was still, half his size, and there was no way there was gonna be, a physical confrontation between the 2 of us. But by placing myself in the middle of that, I could at least refocus his attention, and I gladly did that for the next 4 years. Um, in the middle of all this, at 12 years old, I think I'm in 6th grade at this point, the behavior problems at school got to a point where I was being bullied a lot, and, um, the kids said I was crazy, they said I was this, I was that, I was, um and it got to a point where, up until that point, school was kind of my safe place
Mhm.
where I could go to escape the horrors of my life, and that got taken away too. So, now the behaviors got out of control, and at one point, my 6th grade teacher, um, called my mom and told her that I needed some form of counseling, or I wasn't gonna be able to continue to attend school with the other kids because it had just gotten out of control. And, so, of course, my mother fought vehemently to avoid that happening
Right.
and did everything she could to stop it, but it it was just, that was the ultimatum, either go to counseling or not be able to go to school anymore. And,
And the
this
schools at this time didn't have counseling like they know now like they do now, correct?
Right, I was gonna say the
Yeah,
counseling in schools back then was,
yeah.
well, I'll give you an example. Um, Obviously, my mother sat me down for hours and hours and hours and gave me more counseling, I guess, coaching, whatever you wanna call it,
Mhm.
and, so I was, re-traumatized before I had even stepped into a counselor's office, and every counseling session went pretty much like this. We would spend an hour because that's what I was allotted was an hour,
Mhm.
and, I would just cry. I would just burst into tears and just cry, and the counselor would ask me I'm sorry. The counselor
No,
would ask
do
me,
not apologize.
you know, questions about my home life and what was making me feel this way, that I needed to act out, and, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do because my whole life at that point was a lie, and I felt like anything that came out of my mouth was gonna expose that, and I was gonna get taken away from my mom,
Right.
never see her again. So, I think we had my memory isn't what it used to be, but I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 of these counseling sessions,
Yeah.
and, everyone was exactly the same. They would ask me a question about my childhood, my parents, my siblings, and I would just burst into tears, and I would spend an hour crying, and, they would
Rather
try
than
to
having to
console me.
remember what you were told to say.
Yeah, and they would try to console me as best they could, but, I mean, obviously, we were getting nowhere with
Yeah.
so, eventually, the counseling ended, and I don't know what the recommendation was or anything beyond that, but I was, 6th grade was almost done at that point, and so I was on to middle school, which I guess made me somebody else's problem at that point because, all the counseling and all this stuff stopped at that
Right.
point. Um, During this time, and I'm absolutely humiliated to admit this, but, uh, I started to act out against my brother and sister because they were the golden children in the family,
Mhm.
and, I was the throwaway, I guess, the cause of it all. So, that kinda got a bit much, and, my mother and I started arguing a lot at that point because I was starting to come into my own, I guess, mentally about why this was continuing to happen, and
Right.
so I threw a lot of blame at my mother for that, i.e., "Why do you keep putting us through this? Why" you know
Right.
I'm sorry, I need to backtrack for a second, Keila, there was something I didn't
Oh,
mention.
you're
Um,
at your pace. Go ahead.
because of my father's alcoholism and uh, the heights that it had got to,
Mhm.
he was not capable of holding down a job at that point. Um, the pattern was this: he would find a job. Like I said, tool and die work back then in the late '60s, early '70s, even into the '80s was very easy to get. I mean, there were tool and die shops lined up next to each other for miles. And so he would lose a job, and 2 days later, he would have a new one. It's just the nature of the beast back then. Um, so the pattern was work for a week, get the paycheck,
Mhm.
drink the paycheck all weekend, and then be so sick on Monday that he couldn't go to work, call in sick, call in sick the following day, and then by Wednesday, he didn't have a job anymore, and the pattern would repeat itself.
Right.
Now, during this time, my poor mother, who I will always adore for keeping it together as well as she did for all these years, would be working 2, sometimes 3 jobs. I mean, she'd be cleaning motel rooms at night and waitressing in the daytime, and, I don't know how she did it, to be honest with you. It got pretty bad between, like I said, between when my sister was born, when my brother was born, so I'd say 7 or 8. My mom had this thing, and I still don't understand it to this day, and maybe we can dive into that at a different time,
Okay.
but, my mom had this thing about walking me to school. She
Mhm.
insisted on walking me to school no matter how far away we lived. And, with the pattern of alcoholism that my father was going through, even though my mom was working 2 and 3 jobs, we just couldn't make ends meet. We just couldn't. And so from the time I started school at 6 until the time I graduated, um, we basically lived in a different city every year. So I would get to a point where I would start to have friends in school and start to feel a little comfortable with the teacher and this and that. And then bam, the rug would just be yanked out from under us and we'd be in a different city and in a brand new school again. And that process started over and over every year.
That is traumatic in itself. I
In
know
in
from
and of itself,
experience.
yeah, I mean, there was
That is traumatic.
and I've been told over the years that, "Wow, you didn't just have one trauma, you had trauma on top of trauma on top of
You've
the
got
coaching,
multiple
the"
trauma
yeah,
points.
and, so because of that I'm sorry, I forgot to put my phone on mute. Um, because of that, there was I guess my mom felt more comfortable because we were in a different surrounding all the time. It didn't seem like we were in any one place long enough for people to, find out the dark
Right.
secrets, you know? And so I think she relaxed a little bit on that, but she always, always, always insisted on walking me to school. She would never let me ride a school bus. I to this day, I have never been on a school bus in my life. And I mean, there were times when we lived in cities where school was miles away, and she still insisted on walking me to school every day. And I have a very vivid memory of being 8 years old, and this is this is probably the toughest part of all. It's
And
vivid. I still close my
mhm,
eyes sometimes and see it like it was yesterday. Her walking me to school in the dead of winter. I mean, there's a foot of snow on the ground, and we're all bundled up in our parkas and everything, and my mom was wearing dark sunglasses because she had 2 black eyes, and she didn't want anybody to see, but she still insisted on walking me to school, and every time I think about that, it just kills me. The dedication, to that one singular goal, and I still kill it to this day. I have no idea what that was about. I can only assume that it had something to do with the more that I was exposed to kids outside the classroom or even the bus drivers for that matter, something would come out, something would slip out. And so
So
she was
I would
vehement
say
and
one thing, I don't mean to interrupt you. I would say this, you you know better than anybody because you were there. But I would even tend to say that maybe it was her way of spending time with you alone. I mean, spending some time with you. I mean, I don't know if that's the truth. I wasn't there. I can't speak for anyone, but I'm just a thought to have that maybe that was her way of dedicating herself to her children to make sure she was there to walk you to school. That was her time with you.
I'm not sure. Um, I will say this though, there might be some wisdom to that because my mother and I, because of the way my father acted
Right.
towards both of us, the worst scenario in the world is my mom and I bonding together and
Right.
him walking in the room and seeing me. That would just send him into a fury. Um, so yeah, and I remember my mom and I having some really deep discussions on those walks about, just
Mhm.
everyday things, what was going on in school. So there might be some truth to that because she
Her
felt
time
so
with you.
afraid to bond with me
Yes.
in the house that that was kind of our time.
Right.
So there might be something to that. But anyway, that went on for years. And um, how the pattern worked was I told you how it, happened with my dad when
Yeah.
he would lose the job. After this happened a time or two and the violence got to be too much, my mom would pack us up and we would go to my grandmother's, her mother. And that was kind of my safe haven. I mean, if I look back on the chronicle of my childhood, it goes like this. We lived in this place. I went to this school. Then we went and lived with grandma. Then we moved to a different city and I went to a different school. And then we moved in with grandma. So it was like grandma was the safe space in all of this.
Right.
But as I'm getting older, and I'm seeing this, I'm hearing the phone conversations of my father begging her to come back, telling her, "I've changed. I love you guys so much, and I can't be without you. Please come back, and, I'll get help," and all these other bullshit things.
The same thing. Yes.
Yeah,
It's
it
still
was literally I mean, you could have written it
yeah.
out on, um, a
Yeah.
flow chart, how it was
Right.
gonna happen, and it was just that same story over and over again, and it repeated itself all the way
And
through.
it would yeah.
And then okay, so fast forward to 16, and I'm a junior in high school. I'm involved in sports. I'm involved in all of the school bands. I basically did everything I could do to keep from going home. I was in the drama club. I mean, you name it, I was doing it. And to be honest, at that point, it's high school, but I was a relatively popular kid. Um, because I was in all of these groups and stuff, and I was pretty
Right.
decent at sports. I mean, I was nowhere near as good as my father was, but, I
But
played a few sports. I was pretty good in band, and I
mhm.
was always trying to impress my parents. We would have band concerts, and they would both show up. They would be there. I have to credit my
Now
father
that's amazing.
for everything that I can say about him. He never missed a band concert. He came to every one of my games.
Wow.
He never had a lot to say, but he was there.
Mhm.
And, that should count for something. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and speak ill of the dead. Both my parents are gone now. My brother and sister are both gone now. And I think that might have something to do with, me being willing to come out now because I didn't wanna bash my parents while they were alive, and I certainly didn't want to drag my brother and sister into something that they didn't wanna be part of.
So, John, you
Um,
were made the protector at a very young age. You protected your mother. You have been
I
protecting
don't
both
know
your
what else to do,
parents.
'cause I
I
just,
know, but it's the role that you were forced into. You've protected your brother and sister by not ever speaking of this until they were gone.
yeah.
Now it's time for John to
Well,
be John. It's time for
their
you.
stories were pretty tragic in their own rights as well. I can speak briefly about it. My sister Tracy my mother was a very heavy smoker,
Mhm.
and she smoked, I don't know, more than 2 packs a day, I can tell you that, because you could watch her smoke a cigarette and then light the next one with the butt from the old one and then put it out.
Yeah.
So that's to me, that's a heavy smoker, and she obviously, we didn't know as much about smoking then as we do now, so she smoked while she was pregnant with all 3 of us. And for those reasons, all 3 of us had some kind of respiratory issue growing up.
Mhm.
I was born with asthma, which miraculously over the last 20 years, I've somehow gotten over because I haven't had an asthma attack in almost 20 years.
That's
My
great.
brother, um, had oh my god, he had so many things wrong with him as a baby. And they were all respiratory related. He had croup, he had, I believe he had whooping cough at one point. He had always had issues. And my sister developed a rare lung condition as a teenager
Mhm.
and was on pretty heavy oxygen and things like that from the age of 16, until 21. She died waiting for a lung transplant at 21. So, she never really got to have much of a life, and my poor brother, unfortunately, fell into the same pattern as my father despite everything that I tried to do to the contrary, and he succumbed to alcoholism 2 years ago at the tender age of 42.
So sorry.
So, here I am, 58 years old, the oldest child, and I have no siblings, and
You don't have
that
to be
breaks my
protector
heart too,
anymore. But
but
you need now John needs to think about John, and I'm so proud of you for this. You have the strength to do this.
thank you. Like I said, I've been carrying this load around with me for so long that I feel like it's affected every aspect of my life. Not being able to accept counseling because I'm still walking around with this, secret hanging around my neck. And it's affected every relationship I've ever had. I love my wife with everything I have, heart and soul,
Oh,
but
we know.
it's caused a lot of It's caused a lot of issues in my marriage. I had 3 stepchildren that I had to raise. I had a daughter of my own who had physical disabilities and who passed 10 years ago at just shy of her 21st birthday.
I'm so
And,
sorry, John.
the anger that I've been carrying around, I mean, I know everybody thinks that I'm this sweetheart of a guy and would do anything for anybody, and that's true,
That is
but
true.
I feel like this situation. Oh, that didn't come out right. It sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but
No,
I
that's true,
do
but you also carry other things in you, and we
I'm
learn
a
to do that.
I'm a Scorpio, and that means that I love deeply, I
Yes.
care deeply,
We know.
and I would defend any of my friends or my family with my life if I had to. But
Yeah.
in the back, there's still this angry kid who, just can't seem to let it go. And, one of the biggest regrets I have in all of this is that the situation between my mom and I got pretty bad, um, because I blamed her for all of this. If she had just left and put her foot down and said, "This is enough. I'm not taking this anymore," I'm not letting you abuse me. I'm not letting you abuse my son. This is it. And so every time we went back, I was angrier and angrier than the last time because I felt like she was subjecting not only herself, but me, and
Mhm.
even in some ways my brother and sister, because even though they weren't abused, they still had to be witness to it. And that was
Absolutely.
traumatizing for them because they were young.
Absolutely.
And it kills me that, well, okay, let's just say this. So a situation happened when I was 16. I was entering my sophomore year of high school. And it was just another one of those nights. And he was standing, I walked into the room and he was standing over her and he had something in his hand and I couldn't see what it was. I think it was a belt, but I'm not sure. And he was getting ready to beat her with this belt. And something just snapped inside me. I don't know what it was to this day. I can't tell you what it was. Maybe I just had it. And at 16, I was taller than him. I was heavier than him. And I think it finally clicked in my head that this is the day. And I grabbed him by the arm and I spun him around and I punched him with everything I had. And he fell to the ground. And I just remember the look of shock on his face. Like he couldn't believe it was happening.
Yeah.
He very slowly stood up, and I'm not gonna go into details because you'll probably get kicked off
No,
of YouTube,
it's your
but
story. You say, "What are you don't." This
yeah,
is an
but,
open platform.
needless to say, it didn't stop there. I mean, he got up, and after the initial shock wore off, he got this drunken smile on his face like he had been waiting for this day for a long time,
Yeah.
and I'll just say that by the end of it, he wasn't smiling anymore, and the next day, he packed his shit, and he moved out. And for that last 2 years between 16 and 18, I felt like I could finally breathe again. And and then one day, I believe it was my 18th birthday, sadly enough,
Oh, wow.
um, he came back. She let him back for the last time, and that was it for me. That was it. I said, "I'm 18 now, mom. Your life is your life. If you wanna go through this forever,
Mhm.
have at it, because I'm done. I'm an adult now, and I'm done." And I left. And I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, but I was leaving my brother and sister to that, not just her. I mean, she made her choices in life, you know? I respect that. I don't understand it, but I respect it. I left my
You
brother and sister to that,
you saved yourself, John.
and I felt like I was being selfish by doing that. And it wasn't until years later when I believe it was I think I was 28 when my dad died, obviously from alcoholism. Um, and at the time, he had been living in a halfway house,
Uh-huh.
and my me and my sister were tasked with going to his room and cleaning out his effects after he died. And we were going through his stuff, and it was pathetic, it really was. He had been talking to my mom and begging my mom, and she was to her credit, she was standing her ground. She really was. And, he was telling her, "I haven't had a drink in 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. I'm going to meetings. I'm, doing all these things." And we walk into his room, and we open up the closet, and in the closet was dozens and dozens of empty alcohol bottles just strewn across the floor of the closet. And my sister and I looked at each other, and we just shook our heads because we knew. I mean, we knew the whole time he
Yeah.
was feeding her all that crap that he wasn't living it. He wasn't walking the walk. And it just kind of solidified it all for us. And, even though we were really sad up until that point, um, I guess it kind of came to a head. We were okay with it at that point, we just put it away. And my sister turned to me and she said, "There's something I've never told you before, and I feel like now is the time." I thought, "Oh my god, what now?"
What
After all
else?
this.
Yeah.
And she proceeded to tell me that my father this is the point. Um, she told me that my father essayed her.
Mm.
It only happened once, from what she said. I don't know. I'm gonna choose to believe my sister at this point because she was brave enough to tell me,
Right.
but my heart tells me that's not true. She said it only happened one time, and she said he attempted it, but that she rebuffed it, and in return, that he physically assaulted her after that. That
Right.
broke me. At the time, we were feeling I mean, we had just come from his funeral. We were feeling melancholy. I mean,
It's still
he
at
was
the
our
bottom line, was
father,
your dad.
he
It was your
he's
dad.
the reason why we exist,
Exactly.
and so how could you be so cold-hearted that you couldn't at least be a little melancholy at the funeral? And we were still feeling that. I think that's why we went to the halfway house right after the funeral was because we were feeling that, we wanted to just, I don't know, wallow in it, I guess,
Or
and
be where he
take
was, or
yeah, and take care of that,
yeah,
and that way we could have closure. We had the funeral, we had that,
yeah.
we had our closure, and now we can go on with our lives. And when she told me that, oh my god, it just tore me up because it went back to all I could think about was the day I left, and I thought, "I'm feeding them to the wolves," and I don't even realize it at the time.
Okay, I'm gonna say something.
And
I'm gonna say something here that I think you need to hear, and I'm sorry for interrupting. But
go ahead.
John, it wouldn't have mattered if you would have been there or you wouldn't have been there. Coming
Oh, I
from
know,
someone
but
that knows, it would have happened no matter what. So please do not don't put that blame on yourself or let that blame go that you've put on yourself
yeah,
because that is not something you had any control over. Okay?
it's easier said than
There's
done.
it is easier said than done, but I want you to know
Yeah,
that there's nothing you could have done, even if you would have been living at that house, that would have ever stopped that. Because if
yeah,
it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Okay? So I want you to understand
yeah,
that those that
I
can
get
do
it.
that to children, it doesn't matter who's in that house.
I get
Okay?
it, but to my young
Okay.
adult mind, I mean, it was almost more than I could take, just
Yeah.
knowing that I had already been thinking things like that, but then to find out that it was true and that it really happened, it just broke me. But,
Right.
and then subsequent in years following, I had a couple of conversations with my little brother, and he had explained to me that, he started to experience the physical abuse as well from my dad, and, that's and he and I cried together a couple of times over it. Now he was just a teenager at this point, I think he was in, like, 7th or 8th grade, um, but as a result of this,
Mhm.
and then once I found out that my mom let him back in after I left, I was like, "No, we're done. We can't do this anymore." And I basically cut ties with my mom. I can count on one hand the number of times I saw her after that, and I don't think I ever saw my father again until he was in his coffin. And, you know, I my mom died, I wanna say 15 years ago. She had, um she had cancer, and it was a long road for her. I didn't find out until after she passed that she had battled cancer, but she was 60 when she died. My dad was 48. He died of an aneurysm, ironically enough, walking to the party store to get alcohol, and he just dropped dead. Um, so they've both been gone for quite a while now, and I guess in recent years, maybe it's something that comes with age, I guess. It didn't bother me so much at the time, but it bothers me now that I was never able to get closure from that whole situation, and I feel like if I had just sat down with one or both of them and had a conversation, as adults, that maybe I might have been able to put this away and just, tuck it away into that corner of your heart that, you only access once in a while.
Yeah.
Um, but as I'm getting older, I feel that more and more. And, not having a family, not having parents, not having siblings anymore, I feel like there's a hole there. And talking about it was something I felt like I needed to do. And feel ashamed that I was never able to. I mean, I've been married to my wife for 27 years, and I love her dearly, but I've never been able to sit down with her and tell her this. I've never
There's
this is
no shame in that.
I'm not kidding. This is the first time I'm ever speaking these words to anyone,
There's no shame in that, John.
and, well, I know there's no shame in it, but it breaks my heart to think that, I've been with somebody that I devoted my whole life to, and, I'm walking around. I mean, don't get me
You
wrong.
were
She
protecting her again.
I
With there
know, but
you
she knows that my childhood was shitty, okay? She
Yeah,
knows that there was abuse, and she knows it's not like she doesn't know. But as far as sitting down and saying, "Honey, I'm gonna tell you the story start to finish so you can understand me a little better and what it is that, sets me off and whatever," I guess. I just want part of this was I needed closure. I need somebody to tell me that it wasn't my fault, that I didn't abandon my mother when she
and
needed
you have
me,
62
that I
people
didn't
right now telling
abandon
you that
my
it's not your
siblings
fault.
when they needed me most, and that there's there's something that I can do. I mean, part of me thinks, "Okay, you're 58 years old. I mean, you've already lived your life. You've already fucked half of it up, and there's no back." The things that you did to your siblings, the way that you treated your ex-girlfriends, ex-wife,
Okay.
stepchildren, whatever, um, that there's something that I can do now, even though I've lived most of my life. I still feel like I need that closure and need to find my happy. I
Okay.
mean, I love my wife, I love my life, but I don't think I love myself quite yet, and that affects everything around me. It affects every
It does.
relationship in my life, and I feel like until I'm able to get this all out and, to a professional, to I don't know,
Yes, that is
anybody
okay.
really,
No, you
and
okay, so I'm gonna say this. Um, first of all, thank you for trusting me with that. But second of all, it's not your fault. None of this was your fault ever. Here we go. Okay, I want you to just hear me. Just let these words sink in, please. None of this was your fault from beginning to end. You will there's I'm not gonna start with the trauma points because we will, you need you do need to see a professional therapist, counselor, whatever, because they're going to be able to guide you. One just speaking it out, John, this is a big step, but it's
yeah,
not gonna be the healing step. You're gonna have to
yeah,
start unpacking this a little bit at a time and in its compartments. You handle one compartment at a time, and you do that until you realize that you can love yourself and it's not your fault. But I will
right,
tell you this, okay? I'm gonna tell you this. We have an entire community standing with you. It wasn't your fault. It never was your fault. And you have nothing to
and
blame yourself for. And it
but
affects
here's the
every
thing,
aspect of your life. Trauma does. Trauma, your
yeah,
health, your siblings' health, everything. Trauma
I
affects us.
yeah. I feel like I need to say this too, and please don't get upset, but this is
Oh,
just
I'm
how I'm
no,
feeling
whatever
at
you
the
need to
moment.
say.
I'm not coming on here looking for absolution. I'm not, okay? I have at times been a horrible person in my life, and there's no excusing that. I mean, I'm not gonna use trauma as my excuse for treating people like shit sometimes, and for, screaming at my stepkids when they weren't doing what I wanted them to do or being the people that I wanted them to be. I need them to know that I love them with all my heart and that despite anything, in the past, that that's never gonna change. I'm not asking people for forgiveness. I'm not asking for absolution. I am a broken man. I know it, and I just don't wanna be broken anymore. I want
And
somebody
this
to
is the
help
first
me.
step to healing.
I want somebody to help me put myself back together again so that I can be the husband that I should be, that I can be the parent that I need to be, that I can be the coworker that I should be, the friend that I should be. And I feel like this has been going on for decades.
And it's
And
not gonna
I
be
tell
fixed
myself,
overnight.
Keela, you and I and Dr. Gretchen have had this
Yeah,
conversation before about the difference between the way men and women are treated in society,
big difference.
as we're raised.
Yes.
And especially being a child of the '60s, I was raised, you know, for right or wrong, to believe that boys don't cry, that
Right.
only sissies cry, and that women only respect strong men, real men, and that,
That is the truth
guys
in
that
our
cry or
society,
guys
that's
that show emotion are soft. They're, any number of things. I mean, the names that my father called me every time he saw me cry were disgusting. And by today's standards, I
right.
don't think anybody would talk to a child like that and say the things that he said to me. Um, but it was I don't know. I'm kinda stuck here. I don't know what I'm thinking.
I
Because I've never been through therapy, I've never been able to look back at these things and say, "Okay, this is what caused you to behave this way. This is what causes you to have this anger in your heart that you can't seem to get rid of, despite the fact that you love so much." Um, and that's the part I can't get past, and that's why I said to myself, "You finally found a safe space. You found your people who aren't gonna judge you. They're gonna try to understand you, and they're gonna provide love and support." And
yes.
that's why I'm here, and I know that my best years are behind me, but I still think that I can be
I know.
happy and that I can make other people happy for those years that I have left.
I
I
don't
don't
think I
have
know
to
you can.
I don't have to keep living in this,
No, you don't.
and that's
And
why
you
I'm
just took
here.
your first step. You just
Yeah,
took the first step. The hardest step is the first step. You did that. So, you've done that. So, John,
I mean,
you can start now. You can like you say, you can't start over. No, you can't start over and make a brand new beginning, but you could
yeah,
start now and make a brand new ending.
but I have to say that having this group, this community of people that I
Mhm.
care so deeply about, and you and Dr. Gretchen, and Kathy Ann, and Hermana, and all the other friends that I've made along the way have made this so easy because I know I'm not looking at the chat right now because I needed
I'm
to
glad
just
you're not.
get it out,
Yeah, just talk.
and I
Yeah.
didn't wanna get distracted, but your friendship and your love means absolutely everything to me, and I would not trade it for the world, and I hope and pray that none of you think any less of me or revealing that I'm not this, knight in shining armor that some of you think I am, and I'm a flawed human being, and that I'm admitting it, and I'm asking for forgiveness, and I'm hoping with everything that I have that speaking this truth and letting this all out will finally help me put it away, and focus on the things in life that matter the most, and that's friends and my chosen family. And
And you just said chosen family. You
and
have a
I
lot
and I
of
have to say that I do feel like the weight of the world has been lifted off my shoulder just by being able to speak these words, tell my truth.
okay, I wanna say
And
something.
I'm
You have nothing
hoping,
to
I
ask
know
for
you keep
forgiveness
saying it,
for.
Keilah, that this is the first step. I feel like I've made the first step and now I'm ready to heal. And I hope that I'm able to do it. I'm hoping that I didn't wait too long
You didn't.
and bottle it up too tight.
That's a journey that we're all on every day. It's a journey.
Yeah.
I happen
That's
to
why I
watch
said, Keilah, that I know that this I say it all
this
the time,
can
this my story isn't unique, but
it's unique
I
to
can
you.
only speak to it because it's uniquely mine. And just being able to do that, just being able to speak the words out loud
Yeah.
has made all the difference in the world. And, you know,
And you know what I told you the other day on there? Take a deep cleansing breath in,
yeah.
and when you blow out that negative, and you know what?
You know, and I gotta say that I've always been one of these people that thought that things like that were silly. I talk to people all
It
the time
was.
that do, um, breathing exercises, they do yoga, they
Yes.
do meditation, and I thought,
I do
"That's some
mindfulness.
really weird hippy dippy stuff. I don't know if I'm into all that." But the more I spend time with people like you and Dr. Gretchen and like Jimena, people who at the end too, people who have insights that I never ever thought of. I just reject them out of hand, as silly, new age stuff. But when you said that to me the other night, I've literally been doing it ever since. Every time I feel the tension, even before we
Mhm.
started the show, just really deep breaths.
And
Jimena's got me using sea salts in the bathtub now, and all these things that I rejected out of hand, and I cannot believe how much they help. They really do.
it makes a difference.
It really does. It really does.
And,
And I'm
I
so
use
glad for,
mindfulness.
having that wisdom in my life, and I'm
I
embracing
use
it.
mindfulness, and there's several apps that have it on. You can put it on your phone, or or you can. But the mindfulness, the whole thing about the mindfulness, especially with my anxiety and the CPTSD that I have, um,
Mhm.
the mindfulness. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I don't have to carry around. This is no diss to anything, but I don't have to carry objects around. Like I don't have to carry around my yoga mat. I don't have to. My breath is always here. Like, my breath is in me all the time. So, if why not use that breath that does so much to keep us alive to center myself and calm myself? Your breath will
Yeah,
always be with you no matter where you're at. If like me in the middle of Walmart breaking down in an anxiety attack because I don't know which way to go, you know,
yeah.
I can just stop and breathe. And that does it. There's
It's so
different reasons
scary.
for it, but
It's so
it does
scary when
help.
it happens too, but knowing that you have tools in your tool bag
That's it.
helps.
Equip
That
yourself.
helps a lot.
Equip yourself. And we're not just gonna end that part of it. We're going to guide you to the right resources. I wanted you to take this
Yeah,
as what you wanted to, slower, faster, however you wanted to take it. But first of all, you do not have anything to apologize for, and you will learn that. And as far as you're willing to go. The second thing is I'm gonna ask you this. Have you told your wife, have you told your stepchildren that you love them and you are proud of them?
I've had conversations with my wife, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, I tell her every day how much I love her and how much she means to me, but I think I don't know, that's probably a conversation for another time. I don't really
Well,
wanna
no, but
get
that's
into
just
it.
to
I
hear it, like, that makes a
Yeah.
big difference.
No, yeah. But I think that, our kids are all grown up and moved out now. Um, I mean, we have one that's still at home, but, he has issues, and I don't know that he's ever gonna be able to be on his own, but so we kinda have the empty nest syndrome thing going on.
Mhm.
We both work our full-time jobs and, we do spend time together, but just it doesn't feel the same, you know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
At least on her end, I don't think that her love for me is as deep as it once was, and that's heartbreaking for me, but, that's something that I'm hoping once I'm able to seek therapy, and now that I've spoken about this and I'm able to, maybe find a little bit of closure there, that maybe that can change. I don't know. And she said it we had a conversation not long ago, and she said that she goes, "I still love you. I'm just not crazy gaga in love with you the way I was, the first 10 or 15 years that we were together. It's different now." And that kills me because for some strange reason, during the younger years where she was so much in love with me, I loved her, but I wasn't like do somersaults in love with her. And sometimes I was annoyed by the clinginess and things like that. But now the roles have reversed, and now
Yeah.
my heart breaks the way I'm pretty sure hers did then, and I feel like this is my comeuppance, for being
Your
that way,
in your
and that
roles of reverse,
now
but
I'm getting a taste of my own medicine, and it
okay,
hurts.
so I'm gonna look at it like this. I don't know. I'm not in your situation. This is just me. Okay. This is me. Um, Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. There's a reason for that. You know what? Or if I had that backwards, whatever. Um, uh, Men seem to mature later than women as I was growing up. Okay, so the women are there and the men aren't ready for that. And then
Yeah.
the women are, they've waited and then the men finally catch up to them. It's never too late. It's never
So you're
too late.
saying so you're saying that this problem isn't unique to me.
No, it's not. And it's never too late. Don't
I don't
give
know if
up on
that
it
makes me
now.
feel better or worse, Keila,
I
to be
think there's a
honest.
lot of people that are there, especially I mean, like I'm my other half, I'm with an older man. Um, there's a reason that women go for older men too, you know. That would be the reason. We learned that way back in high school when we were getting in trouble for dating the, guys older than us. But it's not too late, John. And
Okay.
I think you're able now to discuss this, and it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you anything to do. I'm just going to tell you that I think you're in a good spot that you were able to take this first step, which was the hardest step. You now will be able to find resources to help you, therapists, counselors, whatever it takes, and
I sure hope so.
and invite her if that's something you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying if you feel it, invite her to take that journey with you.
Yeah.
She will hear it organically go coming, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, don't do that. But if you do feel comfortable, invite her
Okay.
to go on this journey of healing with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just something to, think about. I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Just an opinion. But I think you have a lot of people in here that really, really, really love you, and I know they do. And I'm gonna
Well,
start with the
and
very first one, if that's
and
okay.
like I said before, I can never express to you guys how much that means to me, how much your support and your love means, because I feel the same way about you, Reese likes to say it all the time, "Oh, Tommy and I were just talking about you the other day," and I think about you guys so much. So much of my day involves, "Oh, I wonder how, Blake's piercing is feeling today,"
I
or,
know.
I hope Kathy Ann's flare-up, goes away soon," or,
We're
things
a
like that. I
community.
mean
We're a
I mean,
family.
you guys are as much a part of my life as the people that I interact with on a daily basis. So is that Kathy
Oh,
Ann?
now she's not gonna come on. She's gonna knock herself right down.
I was gonna say, I think I've
Yeah,
talked
you're
enough,
muted,
and
Kathy.
Why did you do that? I was just making a funny face.
No.
I think about you a lot too, Hockeytown.
appreciate
I'm
that.
not going to call you the name I normally call you because that stays in chat. But
That's
but you know I love you, and I'm not going to take up time on your
No,
story. Um, I did not hit that button, Keilah.
I did. You'll get me
She
back.
knows I
Don't
love
worry.
her.
You'll get
She
me
knows
back.
I love her.
okay.
Oh yeah, well you watch.
I know.
Stay tuned, people. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for the
Um,
payback.
Your turn's
but
coming.
Okay, I'm gonna get to some
uh,
star questions, but yeah, Kathy, I think you're
right.
getting into something.
I just you know I love you, and I'm here. I'll be checking on you when all this is over. You've done a brilliant job.
Thank
I can't imagine because I remember how hard it was for me the first time I told a therapist my life. Um, it's been many years ago now, but I know how hard that was for me.
you. Yeah,
And the last thing that I'll say is just give it. Maybe it's time with
Yeah,
Penny,
yeah, I say so
I
too.
know.
and that's something that we can't decide, and that's
Yeah,
completely up to you. But
Mhm.
just think on it, whether
Yeah.
you do or not. That's
yeah.
completely your choice.
So you got two
But
teachers right here. That's not good, huh, John?
I think that's the part
yeah,
that hurts so much, Kathy Ann, is that I think deep down I know that that's true, but I've spent almost half my life with this person, and we've been through a lot together, and I don't wanna throw it all away, but at the same time, you can't fight a losing battle either, so I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe if she sees this, that she'll understand my heart a little better, and
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
maybe it might trigger something, but if not, then at least I'll know that I tried everything I could, you know?
Right. It may. I mean, our partners. Just speaking from somebody who's been a partner a time or two. But yes, I hear
Uh-huh.
you. Sorry, that's the monkey. But when I mean, you never completely know somebody, never. And um, when you find out certain things about your partners, especially, it's almost like that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes sense. That's why
Yeah,
this has been this way, or that's why they react this way when this happens, or that's why they
yeah,
can't give me that I need because they never experienced it or because they were shut down when they tried,
yeah,
you know? So nobody knows your relationship but you. But
right,
if it makes a difference, then it'll be worth it. And if it doesn't, then you tried.
you tried.
right. Exactly, that's where my head's at too, so
Even if you just send her this link. So,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna get out of here before this baby blows your
Okay,
eardrums out.
I'm gonna go.
But
I'm gonna go through some questions. I know that
thanks,
we love you,
Kathy, and I
John, and
love
we
you.
wanted you
all
to
right,
know
and
that.
bye everybody.
I won't do that to you again, Kathy.
You better not.
All
Okay,
right,
I knew
Keila,
she was
I
gonna
think
get.
I've talked enough. Let's see what the people have
You
to
want some
say.
questions? Okay, let's see. Here we go. I'm gonna go in order. Katie Fulton, Hockeytown. Wow, I love you. You're so
I
loved
love you
and
too,
will
Katie.
always be.
Been
Will be.
a source of
Yeah,
strength
you want
for
to
me
read them?
for a while, and I love you.
Let's see, you are so incredibly brave. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Love you both. True statement there. You see, John is. You got a community that truly loves you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let
Amanda's
you
been a
roll.
rock for me lately. I feel like her
Yeah,
and I are partners in pain.
I'm just gonna let you you read them because these are all
Okay.
for you.
Oh, you got want me reading them. Well, this is gonna be interesting.
Yes.
Amanda, my heart breaks for you. This is something no person should go through. Hugging you as hard as I can. I love you, Amanda.
So
She is such a strong lady.
yes, she is. Besides scaring us to death yesterday. Yes.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay.
Blakey, my friend, you have help now. And as you speak, you encourage and inspire so many people to feel that it's okay to seek help. You're taking so much of that power back in mere seconds, and it's amazing to see. Thanks, Blake.
Wise
I love
young
you,
man.
buddy. I know you've had your share of troubles in life as well, and you have grown into a wise young man, far beyond your years.
Yes, very much so.
DJ Nico, comment, "You became the lightning rod to protect your mother, John." Thank you so much for opening up.
Yep.
Thanks, DJ.
That role of protector.
I didn't always feel that way, but I appreciate you saying that. Gretchen, John, you know I'm so proud of you and your strength for sharing. You showed great courage today, and we are here for you. I will be there for part 2 and anytime when you need it.
There you go.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Doc seems to have this. Huh?
Like I said, without you 2 in this community, I don't know that I ever would have been able to do this, so thank you so much
Well,
for
I'm
being here
honored
for me.
for you to trust us that much. Thank
I
you.
appreciate you all so much. Blakey, he kept breaking the surface when that was the only escape, that everything was okay at the surface. I'm so sorry you had every ounce of safety and security away from you.
Yeah.
It sure
I'm
felt
making
that
sure.
way.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
DJ Nico, comment, those so-called counselors were not trauma informed and very narrow-sighted. They caused more harm than any good, really. You know, Nico, it's I have mixed feelings about that whole situation because like I said, I know that counseling was I think that people that did counseling back then were kind of dual purpose, and none of them were properly trained in what it actually means to counsel.
Right.
I think they were school counselors, which is they're there for guidance counseling, and they were kind of thrust into this new role for problem kids back then because it was before, we started pushing meds on kids to get them to
Right.
behave, and no one knew how to deal with it. I will say that in those few sessions that I had, being able to cry my eyes out without worrying about somebody smacking me for, being a sissy or whatever, did actually help. They never judged. I mean, they sat there
Right.
quietly and just let me cry, and sometimes that was all I really needed was to just be able to let it out and not be judged,
You
for
let it
being
out to
off.
make room for the next thing coming. But also, they
Yeah,
probably, I'm not in their head. I don't know, but I'm sure they knew they were very aware that there was more going on. But at that, like you said, they weren't
yeah,
trained to recognize
yeah.
that.
And,
So
back
yeah.
then it wasn't a simple matter of picking up the phone and calling, Child Protective Services or something like
Right.
that. Things like that just didn't happen.
No, it did not.
So,
This is from Kathy Ann.
I hope you know now that there is not one part of you, not one that is a throwaway. Every piece is important and stunning, even if it's not perfect. You are worthy. I have a
Those
tough
are true
time
words.
believing that some of the
Both.
times, but I do appreciate the
Those
words
are
that
very true
come
words.
out. Yeah, I always felt that way.
I always say we're all like glow sticks. We can't let our light shine through until we're broken.
Yeah.
I mean,
Witness. Question. John, it's great you can remember. Did you ever have large chunks of time you couldn't remember? Um, I would love to say yeah, but I don't remember it all. I remember every single bit of it. I can't remember events as well, but I remember those moments. They'll never go away. Heather Mack, comment. I have been impressed since you first mentioned you were ready to share your story and work on your trauma. You are an asset to our communities, John. Thank you,
I
Heather. I
second that.
appreciate that. I try to be. I try to be all things to all people, and it's easy when you care about the people who are in whose lives you touch and who's touch you. Aunt B, I'm at the part of your mom walking you to school. It appears to me it was the only thing she had control of in her life. Walking you to school belonged to both of you. She had control over that one. Barbara,
Oh,
I think
it
I
did.
think there's a lot
You
of
know
truth in that. I really do. Like I said,
that.
I never really thought
Yeah.
about it that deeply before, but it may have been, the one time that her and I could be ourselves and not worry about the consequences.
I mean, I
It's
wasn't there,
really
but that's
lovely.
the vibe, the empath part of me that I picked up, just from you telling that story. That's kind of
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just that
Yeah,
was what I thought so too.
and that's why I keep saying that, our experiences are our own. We can't
Yes.
speak to other people's trauma because we weren't there, so you don't know the whole story, and it's really tough to judge people based on their own experiences and their own perceptions. So I try not to do that. I just try to offer, comfort and love to
Right.
people because that's what we need. It's what we all need the most. We need
And it's
somebody to
free.
sometimes you just need somebody to hug you and tell you it's gonna be okay, and
Yes.
sadly, there's such a shortage of that in today's world, so
Unfortunately.
Lake Reed, just know, John, that it's okay, and no one can blame you for the evil your father committed against you, your siblings, and your mother. You are a survivor and friend to us all.
Wise Blakey.
Thank you, Blake. I love you, buddy. Zelda Z. John, we bury pain so deep that we can't let it in the light because it's too painful. I admire you so much for coming forward into healing. Thank you, Zelda. Kind words. Appreciate it.
Very.
Otter Dance 64, Holly C. It is easier said than done. I found out long after my father's death that he molested my best friend. I'm still working through feeling responsible. We are not responsible for the actions of our father.
Thank
No,
you.
we are not, Holly.
We are
And I
not.
can say that 100%. We are not responsible for their actions.
That's right. We're not.
Thank you
That
very
goes
much for that comment.
thank you for that, Holly, because I needed to hear that today also. We are not responsible, and it's time we stop carrying that around with us.
Brian Lucas, my dear friend, the only one who can grant absolution is yourself. Talking about the crap is the first step.
He
Let's
knows.
hope so, buddy. Let's hope so. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
I'm gonna take that as guy talk.
Jane Aldrich jumped into this just a few minutes ago and can so relate to your story. Thank you for being brave enough to share this. You give me hope that I can move forward with healing and strength. I see you. Well, I see you too, Jane, and I hope that your journey goes well as well. Hope we can all heal.
Yeah.
Christine, comment. The courage that you are showing right now is amazing. I hope that it starts to get easier for you to talk. You are encouraging me to do the same. I hope
And
so too, Christine. But you know what? I I know Reese says this all the time, and it drives people crazy, but I feel the same way. I don't feel particularly courageous. Even now, I don't feel particularly courageous. In fact, I've said it before on other lives that I've always beaten myself up that it took 16 years for me to finally confront my father and put a stop to the abuse, but I was scared. I was scared to death, and, it
fear,
wasn't
then
until
you found courage.
yeah, and it wasn't until I think I always had courage, I just didn't have the size and the strength to, you know, to match him.
Right. Look, Joe.
The virus. Howdy, Hockeytown John, love you, brother. I'm so sorry you have had to deal with all this for so long. Thank you, Joe. That means a lot to me, buddy. You and Rain mean a lot to me. You really do.
Yes, they are two special human beings.
Gemini Girl 65, John, you are loved, supported, and brave. Thank you, Gemini Girl. You know, to me, I sound like a broken record because I keep going back to it over and over and over again, but it is so important to have people in your life who you know have your back, who you
Yes.
know are there for you no matter what. Those are your ride or dies. And
Mhm.
as long as I'm here on this earth, I promise you that I will always be your ride or die. I will always be on your 5, as Tommy likes to say, and that's not gonna change, and it makes me feel so loved and so appreciated to be part of this community, and I'm not letting you guys go without a fight. There's no way.
Oh, we won't let you go either. We'd have to come look for you.
Heather Mack, my dad died last year. He abandoned us years ago. Hearing your story has tears running down my face. I am releasing more therapy for me. That's really good to hear, Heather. That's, if I've learned nothing else from this experience, it's that. It's that, you know, you suffer in pain silently, but it's not silent. It's not. It's just not. You might be the only one that hears it, but it's not silent. And until you can feel comfortable in your surroundings and be around people who care about you and aren't going to judge you no matter what you say, that that's everything. I mean, that's everything. Like I said, I've been holding on to this for 40 years. 40 years. That's the majority of my life. And I'm amazed that I've made it to this point without exploding, without just going into a mental decline or,
That actually says
having
something
some
about your
kind of
true character and strength,
having
John.
some kind of a psychotic episode or a break of some kind. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, that I mean, it really is. So, Sophia.
Oh no, the one everybody hates to pronounce.
Sophia.
Mach-
Just say Sophia.
her name's Sophia.
Sophia.
Machmirdo Chial. She loves you as you are, hot mess and everything. And you can show her who you choose to become and show her how deeply you love her when you really can love. That changes everything. Oddly enough, Sophia, that's not been my problem. I think, if anything, I get accused of being smothering. And, like I said before, in the early days, she was the one that was clingy. And I was kind of, it's not that I pushed her away, but she felt that. And she felt that as rejection. And over the years, I think what happened is that she developed a hardness to that and it didn't affect her as much anymore. I mean, I remember in the beginning, she would cry and I would say, "What? What's wrong, honey?" And she would say, I can't handle these feelings of rejection." And then as our marriage went forward and the kids got older and, and all that, I feel like somehow I hardened her to that, where she didn't crave that anymore. And then now I do, because now as a man, I matured a little later and I caught up, but she wasn't there anymore when I caught up. So
She's there. Just talk to
now
her.
it's a matter of I'm the clingy one, and
If
I
she
don't
knew how you talked about her when in the chats, like how much you adore her.
I do. I
I
really
know you
do,
do. I
and
know you
that's
do.
I don't fake
I know
that.
you
That's
do.
real. Like I said, I mean, there's been a lot of things in the past, not just the role reversal, but also, like I said, I have not always been the greatest guy. I have not always been the best husband.
We're
I have
not
not
perfect.
always been the best father, and that hardens people over time. And then it's great that I've come to this realization and I'm ready to be this wonderful guy. But in a way, I think they're over it. They're like, yeah, okay, well, you had your chance. And
Well,
I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know.
all you can do is
Only time will
go
tell.
for it.
I've got to heal me first. And then once
You
I
sure
heal,
do.
then I can have those conversations and
Yes, you
determine what path the rest of my life takes. But that's all I got for now. Amanda, I hope you read all my comments later. I hope you read all my comments later. I sent tons. I told you I was going to be here for you from start to finish. You know, I can't stress to you guys enough how much Amanda's been here for me. And,
yeah.
the funny part about all that is that she's been going through her own trauma. And I can't even imagine the kind of things that she's been going through. And yet she's here for me and for this community every step of the way. I cannot say enough how much I love Jimena and how much I love having her in my life. She's incredible.
Yeah. Humble and kind. Question
Humble
for
and
me. Oh,
kind. Question for
I will.
Keela. What do you
Yes.
know about cognitive behavioral therapy?
I
Oh
know
God.
almost.
Got a couple
This better
hours?
would be a whole nother show, but I will get in if you want to message me or email me. If the mods could put a link to the email, that would be great. And I can get on Messenger or whatever you want to do. We can talk because that's a
Yeah,
whole big, huge, huge subject. But yes,
yeah,
I can speak with you about what I know about it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you need to pull up a chair for that one.
Yes, absolutely for sure.
Pause for Andrea. Please remember to extend the same kindness, strength, and support to yourself that you continue to provide others in this community. Hockeytown, John.
There you go.
It's
And I
easier
think
said
that's
than done, Andrea, but I'm working
but
on
it's
it.
doable.
I'm working on it.
It is doable.
Yeah. I
It
didn't used to think so, but I'm starting to see the light.
Yes, actually right there. Whoa, 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 I didn't mean to do okay. Oh, wait, hang on.
Just
Hang
Emma.
on.
Oh.
Well, no, I grabbed the wrong one. Right there. Holly had it perfect.
Otter Dance 64, Holly C. Just make sure you put your own oxygen mask on as you become one of the fives for a lot of people. Yeah, that's true. That's
I
a
mean,
good
that is
one.
true. And we don't
Not
ever
always
think
easy
about
to
that.
do it, but I think I
No.
don't know how you feel about this from a clinical standpoint, Keela, but I think one of the things that I do as a coping mechanism is and I don't know if this is I keep hearing people talk about being empathic, and I don't know, maybe
Mhm.
part of me is. Maybe I feel like I'm an empath, and I never thought about it that way before, but I think that I avoid my own problems by delving so deeply into the problems of the people that I care about. I try so hard to help them that I feel like if I help enough of them, maybe I'll somehow find a way to help myself. I don't know. I might just be ranting,
No, there's things there, and I mean,
but I
there's
feel
things there,
people's
John.
pain. I feel it. I feel it in
Yeah.
my heart. I feel it as though I'm the one going through it. And that I think that makes me understand people a little better, and help them in any
I'm
way I
trying
can.
not to block everybody if I do this.
Zelda Z, John, you have touched my soul. Thank you, Zelda.
Yeah. And actually, let's see. Hang on. I got to go to if I can get it without I don't want to block anybody.
Jimena, at Mental Health Matters, I was so happy to see you on camera. I never get to see
That's for
you,
Kathy Ann.
and you are a beautiful little angel. Love you.
That's for
Yes,
Kathy
we
Ann.
love our Kathy Ann. She is
And
probably the
yes,
hardest working woman on YouTube, and she's not even in front of the camera, so it's
yes, here
wonderful
you
to
go.
see her.
Here's the other half of our half. I mean, our
Oh,
whole
rain virus. John, I feel and do the same thing. If I can help someone else, I can help myself. Yep, absolutely, Rain. That's exactly how I feel. Katie Fulton, you deserve all the love you give 100 times. Well,
uh,
thank you, Katie. You are a wonderful woman, Katie Fulton, and I am very lucky to have you in my life. Nico YEG, I feel the same way at John. Thanks, Nico.
yeah. Y'all have been like, I mean, seriously, thank you for being here for John. But I want to say this, John, thank you for trusting me and Gretchen. Thank you for trusting us enough with something that's so very personal. And thank you for having the strength and courage to come out because I've seen just the comments that have went by, and I know you can go back and watch them once this is done. But there's a lot of people you have helped just by telling your story.
Yeah,
And I always say it, when I wake up, if I can help one person, make their day better every day. That's
yeah.
a goal I set for myself every day. I just want to improve the life of somebody, even if it's just a little bit every day.
That's how I feel. I mean, if I can just make one person in the community smile, and think,
Mhm.
you know what, maybe today is going to be a good day. I just, and I thank you and Gretchen every day for setting up this channel, for giving people a safe space to be able to talk about stuff like this. This is, I've made comments on Facebook about this before, but that whole mentality of how we as men were raised about the you can't show emotion or you're a sissy and
I
women
wanna do a
only
whole show on that
strong
so
men.
bad. Yeah.
As I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize that strength comes in a lot of different forms. And just because I
Yes.
cry doesn't make me less than. I am just as much of a man as the next guy. I
That's
mean,
right.
I might not be able to, build a house or, fix a car, but I'm still able to provide love and understanding and support for people that need it, and, to me, that's what matters most.
That's your worth. That is that I mean,
Yeah,
that is your worth, and that is,
yeah,
priceless.
and I'm kinda making up for lost time too, so
And it's priceless. I thank our friend there.
Aria.
Look at
Oh
that
god,
picture
Aria,
just right it just gives my heart just the
every
picture
time I
just
see her name, my heart just
I know.
I love Aria so much, and she has been through so much lately, and between that sweet
Yes,
baby of hers and everything she's
I
going
know.
through. Aria, we love you so much.
We do love you,
Everything
Aria.
I've gone through lately, John, your comments have helped me so much to keep going and fighting.
She is so right, John. See, you touched one I mean, not
Love
one,
you.
you've touched so many souls.
You are a wonderful woman, and what you've been going through is horrible, and I just know that you and Lyric are gonna come out the other side of this and be stronger for it. We love
Yes.
you.
I believe that. I have faith in that, that's gonna happen, Aria. Please
Absolutely.
know that.
Good
Yeah.
things are coming for her.
Yeah, she's wait, I've gotta get up here. Here. It they go by so fast.
Rain virus, John, you always make me smile. You do too, Rain. You do too. You and
Yeah.
Joe are a beautiful couple, and I love you 2 so much.
And Sophia, let's see.
Sophia, vulnerability is strength. It's even harder and stronger to be vulnerable. I speak from experience. Yeah, those
Then
are
that's
wise words,
I know.
Sophia.
Yes, she's very let's see.
Words.
Go.
Jason P. John, empathy is a virtue, not a vice.
Thank you, Jason. Thank
It's
you for
pretty.
that.
Those are pretty brilliant words, Jason. I think I like that.
Yes.
Humble and kind. That's our dear friend Amy. So grateful to have found you in this channel at Keilah. Every city needs a mental health emergency department, in my humble opinion. Mental health is the number one thing that can be hidden inside of every human. Absolutely.
Mental health is actually the number one because it's mental our body and our brains are all connected. I say it every show, I say it every time.
I
It's
haven't
all one.
known
It's all of us. I mean, we're a whole. So that yeah, it all
yeah.
I agree with you. Oof.
I haven't known Amy a long time, and I just got to meet her the other night on our game night, but Amy is a wonderful person, and I think she's gonna be a great part of this community. I really love her.
Yes. We need to do another game night soon also too.
Sarah Bauman, comment, "You have a great radio voice." Oh,
We
thank
told him
you,
to.
Sarah, I like that. I,
Yeah.
I am, you have starving artists and all kinds of starving, people in this community, and I consider myself to be a starving voice actor. I'm trying my best to,
We grab him all
get
the
my
time.
SAG card and break into the industry, but it's not been easy. Katie Fulton, onwards and upwards from here only, John. Crying is a sign of strength. Your value is inherent.
Yeah, I
You know
agree
what I
with
mean?
that,
I
Katie
mean,
Fulton, right
how do you
on.
argue with the words of Katie Fulton? You just
You
can't.
can't. I'm not going to.
Me either.
I'm not. Oh, wait, Tampa Bay man.
Tampa Bay. John's even more young and handsome than I thought. Grew up with hockey guys, so I was not expecting. Well, hey,
Barbara.
Barbara, those are
Barbara.
that's high praise coming from you, sweetheart. You are gorgeous. We love you.
So see, here we go. Look,
I'm hoping
this is an
someday to get
over.
down to Florida and meet you because I don't think I can die without having met Tampa Bay. Just Emma, love a man who can show his emotions. Not true that women want men who are strong and hide their emotions.
That is
Thanks,
fact.
Emma. I like to
That's
think that
fact.
too. I like to think times have changed. We're a different society now, and I think that I at least want to think that women find strength in men who aren't afraid to show their emotions.
That is the
Zelda
truth.
Z, thanks to Reese for bringing this wonderful community together to care for and help others. You know what, Zelda? Of all the words I've heard so far today, those are probably the wisest. I have thanked Gretchen, I've thanked Keilah, I've thanked Kathy Ann, I've thanked Jimena, I've thanked the viruses, I've thanked everybody I can think of to thank, and we all owe a debt of gratitude to Reese
Yes,
Quavell
we do.
because she brought us all together. Her strength I'm gonna start crying again. I
Oh,
love
it's
that woman so much, you guys
me.
have no idea. She has the strength that she has shown in the face of every evil that has
Absolutely.
shown up at her front door is nothing short of miraculous. And the fact that she was able to turn that pain into something that we all rally around, I can't
I mean,
possibly
our
thank her
channel
enough.
wouldn't even be here. This is
No,
I mean, I went to Reese with an idea. An idea. And
yeah,
she was like, "Oh, well, you need to talk to Gretchen. Let me hook, this is what y'all need." And she made the connection. It's all about connection.
yeah.
She made that connection and now we're
Yeah,
here.
she is an amazing judge of character despite, what people might think, "Oh, well, you got involved in this person and you got involved with that person." You know what? Nobody can see a person's heart the way Reese
That's
can,
right.
and I love that woman with everything I have,
Me
everything.
too. And she knows it.
And if she's listening to me, I'm getting tired of her talking about how she's coming up and seeing me. She needs to get her butt up here. Stop talking, sweetheart.
That race.
Outer dance, Holly C. Mental health is health.
Amen.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna say amen to that one because I
Yeah.
preach that every day of my life. So,
Yes, ma'am.
right, Blake. Let's see.
Blake, yes, we need more mental health advocacy, implementation, and normalization, and I love Amy. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with Amy the other night. She
We
is a
did.
ball.
We
I
did. We
can't wait
really
to spend
did.
more time with her. She's great.
Goosebumps.
Goosebump. I love all of you so much. You make a difference in my life each and every day. You know what,
We love
Goosebump?
you.
You make a difference in our lives too.
Absolutely.
Very positive
Well,
one.
okay. So, John, I think you got something going on here. Look, Camp Radio
Radio.
voice.
Well,
Shelly.
I don't sound as good as
John has
Natalie
a
with her
sexy voice.
rich and total freedom, but, I try. I
I
try.
love it. I love it. Uh, okay, so Izzy Dizzy Bang Bang, I haven't seen you in here yet. Sorry.
Izzy Dizzy Bang Bang. That is one of my favorite names on YouTube, by
I
the
know
way.
I love saying it.
I have nothing but respect for you after hearing your story, and I've got your back if you need anything, John. Not your fault, but I understand feeling responsible for what happened to siblings. Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate that. It doesn't always feel like that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, let's see. Oh gosh, hang on. See, I knew this was gonna happen. I'm in here by
Come on,
myself.
Kayla, we're going so well.
I know, right? And I clicked the wrong thing. Oh, that's about
Yeah,
true.
it's
That's
fine.
about fair for me. I'm just going through the live chat and oh Reese. Everybody's talking about Reese. Yeah, I think so,
Tampa
Barbara. You're
B,
right.
she doesn't
Yeah,
even think what she's been through was really that bad. I know, Barbara, that's the part that blows my mind the most. She
yeah,
doesn't even know. We tell her how strong she is and how, brave she is, and she's just like, "No, not really." She has no idea, and to me,
yeah. This is just
that
there's
is
so
more
many over here about
attractive.
for Reese. Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
wanna
just
know
love
what
Reese.
men find attractive in women? That, right there. You are wonderful, and you don't even know it. There's nothing
She is
sexier than
one of a
that.
kind, Shelley. She definitely is. Barbara, I hope she watches this. I know that she doesn't watch a lot, but
No, she
this is
doesn't, but
part
I
her
think she said
creation.
last
I hope
night that
she
she was
does.
gonna try to catch it, so I hope she
Yeah,
does.
because there's I mean, she's oh wait, Barbara will make her do it. Look.
I hope that Scoville guy is watching too.
Yeah.
Tampa B man. She's def going to watch this, Iris.
So she'll make her. Let's see, Shelley. What shall I say?
Shelley, Reese is one of a key kind. Love that woman. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I mean, it's the truth. We
we
all
owe
do.
her so much, and I don't think she realizes it that, without her, a lot of us aren't here, and we don't find each other, and that's just sad to me because I can't imagine my life without you guys. Like I said,
I know my life is in a whole different direction also
my
now.
wife
I
is
mean,
I think my wife is getting tired of talking about all these people that she doesn't know and she doesn't understand the situation.
well, bring her on to
Jason
to
P.
introduce her.
I just recently met JHT from Reese's channel, but I can already say with certainty that he is my people. ML and much love and pleasure to know you, John. I'm blanking here. JHT? Who that?
Hockeytown, maybe.
I don't know. I have to think about that
All
one.
right, Jason.
Just recently
Wait,
met
JHT from
JHT.
Reese's channel. Oh, is it John Hockeytown? Is that what you're
Oh, me. Oh,
you?
he
You.
had the
There
letters
you
a little
go.
twisted. Okay, it's
Yeah, let's
actually
see.
HTJ, but okay.
Yeah, there you go. So, okay, I don't want to. Oh my gosh, look at this.
Shelly. Ooh, John gave me chills. I got earbuds in. What gave you chills?
Your voice
I
whenever you.
I think she means when I said bridge to total freedom.
There you go. There you go.
Amen. Keilah, thank you so much for making this a safe space for all of us. Yes, absolutely.
Absolute. And I want y'all to
She
know
is my
that
hero.
this is not where it ends. We don't just because we're getting off here doesn't mean that we're just leaving John out to dry. We go from here just to remind everyone that we do go from here. We move over to the Facebook group, and that's where more engagement can take place. And I just
Yeah.
I have a feeling I don't know why, and maybe someone needs to hear this. Empath part of me is coming out, I guess, but we don't leave anybody that comes on to tell their story just alone. We have a Facebook group
Yeah.
dedicated for this channel that we do a lot of interaction with. There's a lot of peer support there. We will provide all the
Yep.
resources someone needs. So we do not leave anyone after they tell their story and just, oh, that's it. They're off.
No,
Bye.
and I'm a moderator on that page, so
Yes.
if you need to reach out, someone is always gonna be there. Always.
Everybody. Oh, Jen Pookie.
And Keila, I think I feel bad because I should have warned you up front that once I start talking, it's hard to get me to shut up. So
No,
I
I don't
just
have
realized
I'm
that we're
good.
almost
It's
2
I just
hours
want to be
in.
respectful of your time. I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't have any I'm good right
No, I just realized that we're 2 hours in, and I'm like, "Wow, okay."
now. Oh, quite.
And Jen can read John can read the phone book to me.
I'm telling you.
Thank you, Jen. I don't know how to
Oh,
respond
wait,
to
Joe.
that,
Joe,
but
here you
thank you.
go.
Joe Virus, bedtime stories with Hockeytown John should be a channel.
There's an idea, John.
You
Joe,
know,
that was
I've
good.
been Kathy Ann and I have been talking lately, and she was telling me that she used to be a big fan of the true crime stories
Yes.
channels on YouTube. And I've actually been giving some kind of thought to that, where it's because obviously I have a face that's made for radio, so um, I thought about setting up something like that, where you tell
That would be
stories, but
so neat.
no presence behind the camera, just the voice. You know.
Okay, you're gonna start reminding me of HG there. Rain, absolutely. I agree with you. Um, let's see. Reese Goosebumps said hi, Reese and Tommy. I hope they come back and watch.
I
Six
feel bad
degrees
that
is
I'm
said,
missing all these comments. I
oh, I'm
promise
just they're
after the
on.
live is
We
over,
will
I'll
have
go
to go
back and
back
read
and get
them
them.
all,
There's
and
so
I'll message
many.
you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Otter Dance 64, 6 degrees of separation of Reese. Yeah. I don't
That's
even
the
think it's 6.
truth.
I think it's more like 2 or
Oh
3.
wait, Tampa, Barbara.
Hi, Tommy. Don't want to forget you. Yes, we don't want to forget you, Mr. Scoville. We're here, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. I'm not trying to. I don't want to like skip over. I'm so far behind in the chat here. I'm going because I don't have anybody storing them anymore. Kathy Ann
I'm
had to
not,
hop off.
Sheila,
So
I'm not cutting into your work time, am I?
please do.
Oh, okay
It's a
then.
full moon week coming up. I
Let's
mean, this
go.
is like, trust
'Cause I
me,
can talk to these I
my
can talk to
patients
these
get
wonderful people all day long.
my patients get like what I was dealing with this morning. Um with let's just put it this way. The waxing of the moon before the week before the full moon and the
Yeah.
waning of the moon the week before the new moon. Mental health patients. I live my life by by the moon phase, knowing what kind of day I'm gonna have at work. So, yeah, it's already been that way this morning. So,
Hmm.
I wanted to catch this comment.
I had a girlfriend years and years ago that was into that kind of stuff, and I
Oh,
could never
it
understand.
work in a mental health facility, you will believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Humble and kind, our friend Amy again. I am super grateful for the Facebook group. So incredibly grateful for you, Dylan. You have such a huge heart. I am the one who is a super chatty Cathy, and don't shut up. I'm a huge extrovert. I think that's what I love most about you, Amy. I love women that are, you know, high energy, and I'm married to a woman who I could give her an 8-carat diamond ring for her birthday, and she would have the same expression on her face. I love her to death, but she'll be the first to admit, I'm not a jump up and down, yay kinda girl, and to be honest with you, I miss that. I really do, I miss that. So having someone like you, and you're not the only one, Amy, don't think for a minute that you are, but I love being surrounded by energetic women. I always have.
Let's
Wait,
see.
no, that didn't sound quite right. But you know what I mean.
Oh,
I
yeah,
am.
for best time for a
Lisa
haircut.
probably liked that comment. The rest of you might have been shocked by that, but
Uh,
I am
yeah, working okay, wait, Rain's absolutely correct because 'cause I've been a paramedic since I was 21 years
trained.
old. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, be a first responder, be a paramedic, you will absolutely know that.
yeah. I can't even imagine. I have so much respect for people in the healthcare industry. I really do. I had a
Me
daughter that was in and out of hospitals a good majority of her life,
yeah.
and I met so many wonderful people in those hospitals. I also met a lot of people who probably should be doing something else for a living.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true
but
too.
there
No, that
there were
is
many
so
more that
true.
really cared for what they did than the ones that
Mhm.
didn't. So
Yeah, and if you don't
Lisa
like that job, then
Silver,
don't be in it. Find a different job,
yeah.
you know? Absolutely.
Yeah, and the sad part is that I meet those people every day, and they're not just in hospitals. I mean, they're in restaurants, they're in fast food, they're in retail. You can just tell that they're not doing what they were meant to do, and it's sad.
Yeah, and that's I mean, that's the truth. And if you don't like working in your field, I'll say this to everybody. Find something that makes you find your
Yes.
purpose and you won't feel like you're very that you have to find your purpose. And once you find your purpose,
Mhm.
then it doesn't ever feel like you're working. It
I'll give
really
you guys an
doesn't.
example. I have I've lived in the greater Detroit area for my entire life, except for a couple of years, during my youth where I tried to venture out a little bit. I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a year and a half when I was in my 20s, chased a girl, whole 'nother story. And I lived in Fort Collins, Colorado for about a year and a half fresh out of high school, and that was another follow a girl kinda thing. You see the pattern in my life? Um, but yeah, I've lived in the Detroit area the majority of my life, so the automotive industry is super huge here, especially in manufacturing. My wife has been at her job for next March will be 30 years, and she
Oh,
started
wow.
out as a machine operator, a real simple job, and worked her way all the way up to a shift supervisor job. And I worked my entire aside from a period in my 20s where I was a restaurant manager for a while, I have been a supervisor or a manager of some type my entire career. Most of that career was in manufacturing of some sort,
Right.
be it injection molding, metal stamping. I mean, I've pretty much done it all. And I got to a point in my life where I was tired of being responsible for everyone else's mistakes. And in
Yes.
the end, that's all management and supervision are. You can be the best manager in the world, but you're only as good as the people around you. And it got
Tell
very
that to a
demoralizing for me
CEO
as
here. Thank you.
yeah, it got very demoralizing for me as I got older that no matter how much I stood out as a manager, that I was only as good as people were in their attitudes. And that with the I'm gonna offend some people here, and I don't mean to, but this younger generation does not understand the grind. They don't understand that
No.
You have to in order to get the accolades and the attention that you think that you deserve, you have to show people that effort. And I got so frustrated with, these new people coming in that wanted to get paid. They wanted that check, but they weren't really willing to do what it took to earn it. And so I happened to be looking through a job board one day and found a company that was hiring, um, I don't know how to explain it to people who don't know what I'm talking about, but let's just put it this way. I'm doing a corporate job. I work in a corporate environment. Now, we are a manufacturing company just like any other, but we're a global manufacturing company. They're a German company, and I basically work in a help desk environment now. So I've taken all those years of experience that I've gathered, in the industry and parlayed that into now I'm the one who's providing the service. I'm, um, doing the data entry and doing the maintenance of, master data and stuff like that. That's vital to our company being able to run. But guess what? I don't have anyone under me.
That's
The only one
amazing.
who is responsible for my accolades or my salary is me, and I love that. I work with wonderful people now. I work in a corporate office building. There's no manufacturing on site. They treat us fantastic. I mean, we have food trucks come to our work at lunchtime every once in a while. They do employee appreciation days. I mean, it's night and day from what I've been doing my whole life. And I think I finally found my happy place. I really do. I love the people I work with. There's no drama. There's no backstabbing. There's no
And that's great
yeah,
because that
and
yeah.
and I think that and I just celebrated my 2nd anniversary there, and, um, honestly, I believe that that was one of the things that helped me come out of my shell a little bit and be willing to do this as well. It's like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders when I started this new job, and yeah, it's changed my entire outlook, it really has.
And that's good. And once we would start repairing things like in ourselves, and I found that true here. Like, I mean, my relationship 6.5 years. Um, I've, I've, s- I mean, I was in a 17-year marriage that ended in divorce. And I thought I'm done. But I'm,
Yeah,
I'm now I'm in a relationship 6.5 years. He's put up with me. He's never tried to change me. He's never asked me to be something I'm not. So as
mhm,
I work through my therapy and work through myself, and which I've really never had a chance to do before, it's actually amazing that he allows me that space to do that. And I find that as I'm doing that, it's bringing me closer to him
yeah.
as he gives
You
me the
know
space to do that.
I think that I think that in a lot of ways we take that for granted too. I mean, when we don't have it, we don't
Mhm.
realize it until we do, and then when we do, we cling to that. It's like, "I'm never
Oh
letting
yes.
you go now."
Yeah, because it took I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a paramedic, my whole life. Well, because I didn't want the mental health side. My mother is a mental health registered nurse supervisor. Ran the whole crisis unit, but I felt like I was always being diagnosed. We always used to get her these shirts. We still do. Keep talking. I'm still diagnosing you. You know, I mean, it's just like not everything has got to be a diagnosis, like all of us would say that. But when you come down to it, and I did the job that I absolutely loved, my dream job,
Mhm.
but it it's hard on the body because I mean my body can do it right now if I wanted to. But
Yeah.
I mean I still am a paramedic. I don't have to be on the truck. And that was the hard part on the body lifting. But I can tell you this that
Keila,
sometimes you're
can I
not
ask
put
you a
where you want to
question?
be. Sure.
I've been told by people, and,
Mhm.
like I said, I've never seen a psychiatrist before, I've never had therapy, so I'm only going off the things that I've heard from other people, but somebody told me once that people who have chronic illnesses, people who have, and I know you have a few things going on, and
Mhm.
a number of you do. But someone told me once that chronic illness can be a result of trauma. It can be a result of, not being able to talk to someone, not being able to have therapy or things like that, that can actually exacerbate those conditions and make them worse, and
And
that when
you're
we're
100.
happy, a lot of times, maybe not everything, but a lot of times some of that stuff will start to slide away and in some cases be completely gone just by changing your
Absolutely.
environment, by changing your level of happiness. I just
And
wonder
that is
how much you believe
absolutely
that
correct.
to be true.
I do know that it's true. I'm gonna tell you it's not that I believe it, I do know that it's true, that
Oh,
trauma
okay.
affects everything in our life, okay? Trauma affects us starting out as I mean, when we're born, like, our environment, and all of this that I mean, it's just like, a child wanting a baby wanting to cling to their mother for comfort, and there's some that believe in just, let them self-soothe or things like that. I'm not saying right or
Mhm.
wrong, anything like that. I'm just saying, yes, trauma affects every aspect of us, and it eventually that's what it turns into, or these chronic illnesses, because our mind is our body. It's all
Yeah.
one. And if we don't get that fixed, if we don't get that out and we let it stay inside, it definitely causes issues. I mean, that's not a doubt in my mind about that.
Mhm.
Now, after we can start working on some of these things, I absolutely do believe that I mean, and now I'm saying this and I have seizures, so I can't, I'm losing my words today really bad. I apologize to you for that.
No,
Um,
I
so,
understand.
so stress is the main factor in it. Like that, the trauma causes the stress. The stress is actually what just, it just eats your body up. I mean, really. And I know for me, as I have been able to relieve some of this anxiety that I have inside of me,
Yeah.
I mean, like 3 months ago, I couldn't walk, my legs were so huge, like my ankles, my
Oh my
legs, my
god.
heart was resting heart rate of 160. I mean, this is just a
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I've
y'all
had a
knew
lot of
that,
problems with blood pressure too.
and my blood pressure was sky high. Now that I'm able to let go of a lot of the stress, and my therapy sessions have been, and I was so stressed because I canceled my insurance. I went a whole month without my insurance, just so
Mhm.
stressed out about it. And I had to stop and take a step back and be responsible for my own self, not running my therapist. And I'm not saying, I'm just saying this was for me. Okay, Keila, you know mindfulness, you know the tools, you've got the tools. Pick up your toolbox, open it up, and start working on it. And so that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I changed my diet, I mean, there's so many things that I've changed, and it has made a world of difference. Just the breathing exercises alone, I can sit here and just do that and just I can open my I close my eyes and I just totally focus on that. I'm
I'm
telling you,
telling
my
you, I'm
blood
so
pressure has come
thankful you
down, my
taught me
heart
that
rate has
because
come down, everything has
yeah,
come down.
just in the couple days I've been doing it, Keila, it's made a world of difference, and I think that I was so reticent to, accept it, because I thought it was just another one of those silly little things that people do
Yeah.
to try to feel normal, but you know what? I'm a believer. You made a believer out of me.
And there's so many different kind of breathing. Because okay, so if you wanna get into, like, I'll tell you this real quick, I know that, but okay, so you have your parasympathetic nervous system,
Mhm,
to get into detail about it. Okay, so that's everything that our body functions do that we do not think about. Breathing, um,
mhm,
digestion, heartbeat, blinking, anything that we don't have to tell our body to do, that it automatically does, that's our parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so
mhm,
there's breathing that if you can slow down that parasympathetic nervous system and you can make it slow down, make everything slow down and calm down, then
mhm.
our brains, our endorphins, everything just slows down and it we can get back to center. And that's a lot of the breathing exercises do is it brings you back to center. Your body focuses on that. And like I said, you don't have to carry anything with you to do those breathing exercises. I will,
Right.
I
You
mean,
can
your
literally
breath is
do it
always
anywhere. I mean,
there.
I could be standing in a
That's right.
grocery store in line and just do it. And
At,
yeah,
at my office, being an empath, being in a room with 20 people that have mental illnesses, I cannot do it very long. I mean,
You
I
know,
literally cannot do it very long. I'm like a nervous wreck. So
yeah.
I say what I have to say and I have to get out of there because I know that I'll start feeling everybody's pain and their pain is so tremendous. And I'll go to my office, I will lock that door, and I will sit there, and there is a 10-minute mindfulness thing that I will put on my phone, and I will do that whole 10 minutes, and I will feel
Mhm.
like a new person
You know, something else too, Jimena brought up something the other night, and I tried it, and I couldn't believe how well it worked. Um, I was having a really tough night, and I think
again.
several of you might already know about it, but I was having a really tough night, and Jimena told me to get into the tub and put sea salts in the tub, take a cup, a large cup, and slowly pour the water over your head, and close your eyes, and imagine all the stress, all the
Yes.
tension, all of the bad juju just washing away with that water. And I
And
did it a couple of times, and I tell you what, I came out of that bathroom feeling like I had been born again. I
yeah.
I I I know it sounds crazy, but
No,
I
it's not.
couldn't
It
believe
works.
how wonderful I felt. I felt like all the toxicity was gone and that I had nothing but pleasant feelings, and I had the best night's sleep I've had in my entire life that night.
And that is something
So,
else, John. Not
thank
not
you to
enough sleep or
Jimena the White Witch.
not enough good or everybody. I mean, people can get as much sleep as they want if they're not getting actual resting sleep. I mean,
Yeah.
going into REM, it does no good anyway. So, and that really does something to your body. I'm one to know.
Yeah, and I'm one who's always been famous for stress, just I have never had good sleep because of stress. I
I'm a
can't
night owl
get it away.
anyway, and then I
My
have
brain goes
ADHD.
100
So,
miles an hour, and I can't stop it.
mhm. And I've been
DJ Nico.
unmedicated for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm keeping an eye on you. You haven't fallen asleep yet, so that's
No,
I
I'm
I've
actually
been
doing very
told that
well.
I've been told that my voice has the power to put people to sleep, so I
At
don't know how true
least
that
I
is.
didn't fall asleep this time in a 106-degree
DJ
vehicle.
Nico, if he doesn't have, he is demanded by this audience.
That came from there
Miss
and
Sunrise
there,
Dawn. Hello, sweetheart. I don't think John has a channel. No, I do not.
and there's another one. I
Was hoping
think
Hockey
you're
Guy had a
demanded.
channel. I love you, Barbara.
I think you're
Me and you,
demanded.
babe, we'll do a channel together. If you do it, I'll do it. You gotta think of a
Oh,
snappy
wait,
name for
Zelda.
it.
There you go, Zelda.
Call it Barbara and the Fat Man or something. I don't know.
So I
Zelda
like
Reed.
breathing and drinking
Breathing
water.
and drinking water helps me.
Yeah.
Drinking water. That's
Yes,
a
that
good
washes the
one.
toxins out.
Can you elaborate on that,
Absolutely.
Zelda? I'm not sure what you mean by just the
Look,
act of
there's
drinking water?
nothing better than this to get the toxins out of your body. Right there. Water. Especially
Oh,
after I do my breathing
from
exercises
the
or I do
inside. I gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I do
Okay.
my breathing exercises, then I do my physical therapy, which is now into weights. So and look, look, look at this.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's way more range of
Yeah.
motion than I had. So I'm making
I was
progress.
gonna ask you about that once, about,
Yeah.
I know again, I'm not gonna generalize, I don't wanna speak for everyone, but I've been told on more than one occasion that the majority of our stress is kept in our necks. Is that true?
Ah, yes. Relax
And
your
I get
jaw.
so much tension in my neck, and it
First
causes
thing
me
you
to
do is
have
relax your jaw.
headaches. And
No,
that's
wait. I'm
another thing
sorry.
that the hot
Here.
saltwater baths have helped, is
Yes.
that I find that I have less neck tension.
Okay. So when you're sitting, John, literally,
Mhm,
this is what I do. Okay, so and this is one of the mindfulness that it actually speaks to you and guides you to do it as you're breathing. And
mhm,
I had to use the guided one at first, and now I just automatically do it anywhere I'm sitting now. But the first place is right here. People have
mhm.
all so many of those lines. Relax that, and then you breathe for a few minutes. You breathe in, you breathe out, and then the next thing you need to focus on, I physically bring myself with my eyes closed to each one of these places in my body and relax. I do the relax my jaw. People carry tension there. You always people have it clenched. Then the
Yeah,
next
I have a
then the
problem with
next
tension.
place is your shoulders. Relax your shoulders. That takes all the tension out of the neck.
Hmm.
and I physically go down every part of my body, and by the time I get to my toes,
Mhm.
I can open my eyes, and I'm so feel so much better.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's
That's
just something I
interesting.
do, go to each part.
I think I still have a lot to learn from you, Keila. I'm glad you're around.
I'm here always for you. You know that. Okay. Well, I am going to ask John now. Hydration is the key. Yes, Rain. Absolutely. Everybody's now. And we will go back through and read everyone's. Oh, wait. Here we go.
Amy's back. Random thoughts with Amy. Oh, I like that.
Okay. So I want to thank the chat. I'm going to ask you the question, though, John. You know this. I love you too, Barbara, very much. And I want to thank all the chat for being here and supporting him. Look, this man is like the heart and soul of our community. Everybody loves him. And I'm so honored to be able to be here for him. And thank you for supporting him. Thank you for supporting John.
Absolutely. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for supporting this channel that will continue to give space. As long as people keep showing up, we will show up. And you know, as long as we're needed, we're here. Um, and thank you, mods. Y'all have been amazing. Kathy Ann, I know she's not on here anymore, but she's amazing. And I really do. When I say this, I'm not saying this. I love you all. Y'all are chosen family. And he was exactly right.
Absolutely.
John, I'm going to ask you what I always ask at the end of every one of our things is if there is someone out there going through the same thing you are, what would you say to them right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Love this community.
If did you catch my question?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I said if there's okay, so I'm going to ask you like, oh, Kathy's been listening. I love you, Kathy. Thank you for everything you do. I was going to ask you the same thing I ask every guest on here, um, if there's anybody out there that you would like to say something to, maybe that is going through the same thing you're going through, what would you say to them? And
I'm
please
sorry.
say it.
I'm getting a lot of feedback on your end, Keila. I
Uh-oh.
heard you say if there was somebody out there that you wanted
Yeah,
that I
if there
wanted to
was
say
someone
something
out,
to, what would I say?
okay. Is this better?
A little
Can you
bit.
hear me? Okay, yeah, I think my internet's like doing the thing again. If there's anybody out there going through what you have been through and what you're going through, and you could say one thing to them, what would you tell them?
Don't wait. Don't wait 40 years. That's for damn sure. Don't let it consume your life. I mean, there are a lot of us out there who have been through similar situations and we let it eat us up inside for a long, long time. There are there are people out there who care, whether you know it or not. We are your chosen family and we're here. And don't keep it shut up inside because it'll consume you.
And that is so true. Thank you, John. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for trusting us. And like I said, all of you, you do not go unnoticed. And he will not be, and John will never be left alone. We just moved this over to the Facebook side, and that way we have more time and more room to interact and actually provide resources. So, Barbara, what's she saying? Mexican for everyone. I'm starving to death. I haven't even eaten. Tampa.
Yeah, it's getting to
But
be
thank
about that time, isn't it?
Yeah, but thank yeah, because my honey's headed home and I've got to make supper too. But thank you, John, for coming on. And really,
Thank
I
you.
truly appreciate everybody and everyone. And I love you all. And we will see. Marilyn will be on Thursday at 3 Central.
Mama
Our
Bear.
very own. Yep, Marilyn will be here. Mama Bear. So I hope everyone is here to see that and listen to her story. And we're just continuing on the path of childhood trauma. So that's going to
Absolutely.
definitely be one too. And again, thank you to everyone.
Yes,
We will
thank you.